Very shortly after, we also have to remember everything that has been happening around Egypt. It has raised numerous theories suggesting that they were not just tombs of pharaohs, but that this would have another kind of purpose, even one related to space. But today brings another discovery, one they claim would be unprecedented for world archaeology and even for history itself. The archaeologists found in an ancient city of Oxyrhynchus a mummy that had a fragment of Homer's Iliad attached to its abdomen. Some claim that this had never been documented before. The discovery took place in Al-Banahasa, a town in Egypt, and it is believed that the mummy is approximately 1,600 years old, belonging to the Roman period of Egypt when they lived together. Egyptian traditions with Greco-Roman culture. What is truly interesting and striking is that the text found was neither a ritual nor religious, nor a fragment of some internal situation of the Egyptians. Rather, it was a fragment of the Iliad, a literary work from ancient Greece. According to the philosopher Ignacio Javier Adiego, this is the first time in history that a literary text has been used in an Egyptian funerary process. In other words, a piece of literature of any kind had never been found in any type of tomb before. This would appear in a very curious part, which is the catalogue of ships. It's called Book 2 of the Iliad, a key section that lists the Greek contingents heading toward Troy. Until now, in other mummies, for example, papyri had been found, but with ritual formulas or magical protection spells, but never with classical literature integrated into the embalming. Now a theory is emerging that the embalmer may have used that text as a professional signature or even as a symbol of cultural prestige. Experts still can't fully analyze the papyrus because it is very deteriorated, and although they say they are going to study it, they are still figuring out how to do it without destroying it. The team hopes to use advanced technology like X-rays to reveal more of the text without damaging the material, which could give them more clues about the reason for this. These tombs, the ones we're seeing here, might have held this strange secret. They also say there's still a lot to discover. The team hopes to use advanced technology, but they also think these gold sheets could be part of the key to the discovery that has just been made in Egypt. There are a lot of curious things, aren't there? For example, those mummies they found that apparently look like they're in agony, as if they had been buried alive. Also, the fact that it's known Cleopatra had Greek origins, Macedonian, a topic that has always attracted attention. Their veneration of cats. Killing a cat could cost you your life in those times. Magic was the official science. The priests used rituals as medicine for protection and for other purposes. For example, Pharaoh Akhenaten was a pharaoh who changed the religion by trying to impose a single god in his time. So and the Egyptians were a reflection not only of their own culture, but also of what they learned from other cultures around Egypt. Another thing that has also always been mistakenly believed is that they had slaves. They claim that the most recent findings indicate that they were pyramid workers, but they were not slaves at all. That they were in any case specialized workers, and that they had a salary, they had the freedom to come and go. So, they weren't like the way history portrays them. That's how they always portray them to us. Those exaggerated portrayals in movies show them as slaves being beaten and everything. Well, that's not how it really was. In another major twist in the curious strange things happening on this planet, new whistleblowers have been claiming that there is a campaign of intimidation and possible cover-up to suppress testimonies related to the WAP's investigation. A journalist named Jeremy Corwell issued a warning. It has been quite striking in the American media. He claims that the whistleblowers, the leakers of these cases, are being pressured, harassed, and according to him, put at risk for speaking out, for disclosing, for sharing their investigation or the information they have about these cases. Corwell claims that the cost of speaking out is not only professional, with the loss of credentials, but also includes threats to the family and smear campaigns. One of the most serious cases is that of Dylan Borland, an Air Force veteran who testified before Congress in 2025. Borland claims to have seen a black triangular craft about 100 feet long near Langley Air Force Base. This happened in Virginia, United States. They claim that in these strategic defense areas of the United States, objects have been appearing that simply don't make sense. The most shocking thing, he claims that the craft floated silently and then instantly accelerated to commercial flight altitude, something impossible with publicly known technology. Borland also reported physical effects during the encounter. For example, his phone froze, then it got hot, and well, the environment felt charged with energy or static electricity. After making this statement and filing the report, a campaign of harassment began, tracking documents, falsified documents in their name, work blockades, and alterations of intelligence records. According to the reports, the most sensitive case also involves another person named Matthew Sully. He, by the way, is a former intelligence officer who lost his life in 2024. But before testifying about the secret programs related to military UFOs, before he went to give his statement before Congress, he lost his life, right? Corbell claims that the death of his friend Lee Ban is considered very suspicious by people inside the FBI and Congress. This fuels theories of some kind of attempt to silence key witnesses. Matthew Brown, for example, claims that after speaking publicly, he suffered break-ins, infiltrations, and smear attacks, says Brown. He has also revealed the existence of an alleged ultra-secret program called Immaculate Constellation, dedicated to collecting classified data about UFOs. Watch out for that one. With this one, the organization is not the first to be focused on that. The most, let's say, secret thing that the United States has on this topic. Pay attention to the following. Look at what happened in 2017. A phenomenon in 2017, a UFO phenomenon started to be revealed that year. In the military and intelligence field, people started to talk a little more freely, but only from that year on. In 2017, when more began to be disclosed, there was also a kind of campaign against it. It has become a part of society and of society and society and of society and of society and of society. Lawmakers are already demanding full access to the classified files to determine whether or not there is hidden technology or hidden non-human technology. Thank you. The debate right now is first to disclose it, to analyze it, and then conclusions will be drawn. That would be ideal. Let's move on to the next point. Or Scientific, by the way, published in Science Report among other scientific publications. Let's see which ones they are. But the study reveals that immune cells remember obesity long after losing weight. Imagine the person loses the weight and then shortly after goes back to the same excess weight they had before. Fighting obesity is harder than it seems, these studies say. By the way, they took 10 years to complete. For many people, even successful weight loss is followed by a prolonged struggle to avoid regaining the same weight as before. Relapse, or the so-called rebound effect, means you lose weight, but then bounce back and gain even more. It's more common because of something called obesity memory. They say that fat cells retain that memory long after you've lost the weight, which can make it harder to keep from gaining it back. They say that what you need is just to be aware of that. If you lose weight and don't want to go back to your previous weight, they say you have to keep an eye on it for 10 years to avoid regaining that weight, because if you don't, the memory will make it easier to go back to the weight you had before. The mechanism for this is DNA methylation, a normal biological process in which groups. The mechanism is DNA methylation, a biological process involving DNA. People who have recently recovered from obesity, certain T cell related changes, for example, seem to favor the cellular memory of obesity, promoting a pro-inflammatory dysregulated state that can persist for years despite the reduction in body weight. Researchers have shown that the mechanism is that the studies were carried out over 10 years and demonstrated different diseases in people with obesity to see how those cells had something like a memory for certain types of conditions. The results suggest that the immediate risk for some people associated with obesity, such as type 2 diabetes and some types of cancer. The study from the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Just look at how interesting this topic is, honestly. And well, there's also another matter I'd like to talk to you about. And in other news, the seismic activity. The activity in Nevada near Las Vegas, north of Las Vegas, continues to draw attention. That's the number of earthquakes that have been happening. Yesterday there were 17 now. They're talking about around 21 earthquakes in that area. According to the reports, the earthquakes range from 7 kilometers deep, listen, up to 0 kilometers. In other words, completely at the surface. The mechanism is a mantle at 1 kilometer, at 0 kilometers, which means we're already talking about 24 or 25 of DNA, a biological one in which the mechanism is a DNA methylation, seismic. The president says that the files about UFOs are going to be released, even those from Area 51. Hours after he says this, hours later, these movements or earthquakes or whatever is happening in that area start to occur. That's what draws attention. It's very strange. Look at what he says, someone says. Methylation mechanism, a biological, the files on UFOs will be published soon. They are in Area 51, very close to this seismic activity. There is a lot of speculation about Area 51 where, it is known that they have conducted experiments on military matters, but also claiming that supposedly non-human technologies have been tested there. They have investigated a lot about that, so I hope we receive the reports, because I'm not one of those who doubt that there could be something out there, this person would have said. Well, the mystery continues, obviously in Area 51, and although this seismic activity, for now, the only explanation there is, is that it's simply geological movements. What stands out is the shallow depth and exactly how close it is to Area 51. In other matters, Donald Trump also sends a message to Cuba, stating that the United States would be about to take control of Cuba almost immediately. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, assured that he will first deal with and put an end to what is happening in Iran during his speech as the main speaker at the private forum club West Palm Beach event in Virginia in the United States. Let's look at part of what happened at that moment.
Dealing with some quite brutal people right now in the lovely country of Iran.
I'm dealing with a group of very violent Iranian people.
They are very brutal, and I won't tell you that we're doing very well. You can't give Iran a nuclear weapon.
He says they are very violent, they can't have nuclear weapons, they simply can't. Applause.
He says they would use it on a place called Israel very quickly, and they would use it in the Middle East, and they'd use it in Europe, and I guess we'd be next, and it's not going to happen. Don't worry about it. We've taken a part. Mi figlio Israel Russo. Air forces not exist. Their navy was very strong. They had by far the strongest navy in the Middle East many times over. Donald, the president, would have them there right away. 59 ships. Every single ship is at the bottom of the sea right now. They have no anti-aircraft capacity. They have no radar. They have no leaders. Actually, their leaders are all gone. It's part of our problem. We don't know who the hell we're dealing with. is Muhammad so and so, they say.
Well, it's starting to sound like a few jokes, doesn't it, in this explanation? At this moment, Donald Trump starts giving details about the claim that Iran has no leaders and that Donald Trump is talking to a Mohammed or looking for some leader. In fact, at one point, he says it's the only country in the world where nobody wants to be president of its people. And even while he touches on the nuclear issue, this situation is not present. He makes this comment at one point at the Forum Club of West Palm Beach, Florida. He insists that the issue of taking control over what is happening in Iran is the responsibility of these countries. The West, let's say, but they have basically left the burden on the US. Well, a series of topics, a series of comments he is making. On the one hand, it seems that he still expects help from Australia, Canada, or Europe, but that help simply doesn't arrive. He wasn't able to sell them on the conflict, therefore they're not participating, at least not directly, but well, that's also part of what's happening in the world. Let's move on to other matters. We'll be back in a moment. Thank you for joining us, for your comments. We'll be back soon with more updates.